Hey everyone, me again. Wanted to do a little video, I suppose. I think the last little video I did connected with a few people, and I suppose that's all I'm trying to do is start a kind of conversation with yourself. I suppose maybe send you down a different path to a different kind of thought process to maybe kind of give people a little bit of belief in themselves and a little bit of kind of peace, I suppose, with what's going on. And I've been doing like videos for quite a while, probably 5 years now, on and off. But I've never really never really kind of gone back to the beginning. Like what's the whole point of this? What's the whole point of not really the videos, but what's the target for them? And it definitely isn't about getting money. I couldn't care less about that, if I'm honest. And I think if you start connecting money to things you're passionate about, it dilutes it quite a lot. And also then you kind of become part of the system, which is, in my view, causing a lot of the issues with people feeling more anxious, questioning their self-worth, feeling like they're not enough, like they don't know where they fit in. I think I can quite comfortably say that there really probably isn't a adult between the age of 25 and, I don't know, definitely 50s, right, who doesn't deal with some level of anxiety or self-doubt or want to change something in themselves, or they feel like they do something which they're not in control of. The way they think about themselves, for example, the way people want to do things, they've got a dream, they've got a passion, and then they self-doubt themselves, so they never do it, right? And I think the whole idea of kind of talking about things, educating things, like I share a lot of stuff on my Instagram which isn't mine, right? And that's because I think whenever you sit down and speak to someone, you learn something, right? And I think to remember that is really important, and to know that you haven't got all the answers. And so, yeah, when I see something that connects with me that I feel is really poignant, I like to just share it, okay? And hopefully that connects with people in their kind of daily life that we're going through, which is obviously pretty crazy. So, we live a life where we go through and we are programmed biologically to kind of sit into three categories, really, okay? However you feel you are as an adult, where you are, how successful you've been, how all the things you've overcome, whatever. Every human requires three things, right? Deep down, we all want to be safe, okay? And I know a lot of men will be going, I'm safe, I'm strong, I'm in charge, I go to the gym, I don't need to feel safe. Jesus, if I said I was unsafe, that'd make me a right pussy, but we're talking about emotional safety, and it's that ability to actually say the opposite. Say, I don't feel that great today. I'm really struggling. The things that people say hurt me. you know, I don't feel happy in this relationship. I don't feel worthy. I don't feel like I'm a good dad. You know, all of these things are quite reflective from my own past. I'm just saying that because I think the only way you can really be, you know, you talk about things from your own life, you know. It's a lot easier to be empathetic and vulnerable through experience than from just picking up a book and hoping and trying to draw information from knowledge. You know, that's what being safe is. It's seriously being safe, feeling safe enough to be you, 100% you, to say things that socially might be looked at in and reflected in the wrong way, in a way that you are not, you know. For men, the idea for us to say we're not safe it is to say that we're not in charge, you know, is to say that we can't look after ourselves, you know. And that's a social thing. Like, someone said that men have to be like that, okay? And you know, that's reflected either by socially, and that's also reflected through the media. It's reflected by you know, this expectation of us obviously of the female race, you know, to say that if we can't look after ourselves, that means we can't look after our loved ones or our partners or the people that we want to be in relationships with, and therefore we are not worthy men. That's bullshit, if I'm honest. Actually, if you want to be something different, if you want to be a unique man in this world of many sheep, then you need to step back and break the mold and actually start looking inside yourself, because that's actually the hardest thing you can ever do. Now, I don't like talking about myself, as in like my achievements, but via my internal requirement to prove myself due to my traumatic growing up, lack of, would you say, emotional safety, I have put myself on this path since my probably 18s, since I was 18 or even before, to prove myself. Okay, and through that I have done some pretty crazy physical things, right, where people may look at it and think there's some quite, like, you know, like feels not quite mentally tough, physically tough, mentally tough. Okay, we're talking, you know, I've done ultra marathons, you know, 70-mile ultra marathons. I've done my all arms commando course, you know, field gun stuff like that. But the hardest thing I ever did was look in the mirror. When I became ill, that was forced upon me. I had two paths: either go down the path of self-pity, which I did go down for a while, or the path of actually, do I want to move forward, and do I want to turn this thing that happened to me, this illness that happened to me, which really crushed me, into something where I can make a positive impact on people's lives. And I chose that path, along with the support of people around me that love me and accept me for who I am. Okay, and during that process, I had to filter out the people that didn't, and that was really difficult. Okay, and that was really difficult because those people, but me doing that did not serve those people, because they were on their own path of suffering, and they were on their own path of covering up the way they feel about themselves, you know. And sometimes humans are quite manipulative, you know. We use other humans to make ourselves feel better, you know. And not only do we do that, we believe that we are in charge of that. But the funny thing is, underneath all of that, we're not in charge of anything, because in the background, there's this subconscious idea running, coding running, that feeds back to us when we were a child, and how we felt when we were in that position, in that situation, you know, like between the ages of, I don't know, you know, I think, you know, it's like 1 to 8, where you just suck everything in, you know, where, you know, there was a post the other day and it said that children, before they learn to speak, they listen with energy. So, you know, people think, oh, babies and that, they don't know what we're talking about. You know, they're not thinking, they're not taking information in, but they're still alive. They're still seeing things. And that's where the whole kind of parental kind of thing comes in, you know. And, you know, it's difficult. I'm a parent, right? And it's difficult when you've got these subroutines running in the background from when you were a child, and you thinking, well, I'm all grown up now, those don't affect me. But they do. Have you dealt with them? Or have you just spent your life running ultramarathons, trying to do courses for funny little green hats, trying to prove yourself? You know, so it's a really interesting subject, and the idea being that you are in a non kind of matrixy way. I think it's the idea of trying to give people the information so they can set themselves a bit more free from their own emotional burdens. Believe me, I've been working on myself for, like I said, I've done these videos for 5 years, but I've been working on myself for 10 at least, you know, since I had my kind of a little bit of an awareness moment when I got ill, health being quite a big eye-opener to your own vulnerability as a human. You know, since I've been doing that, you know, yeah, I've learned a huge amount about myself, where these ideas come from, why I feel the way I do, why I doubt myself. But that doesn't mean I don't doubt myself. I think the idea of that is something to expect, but it's a little bit unachievable, because we're talking biological emotions here. You know, everyone wants to be like, I don't want to feel like that, but unfortunately, that's not your control. We are humans. That's how we're set up. You know, that's like saying a lion doesn't want to hunt. You know, it doesn't want to hunt. Oh, I don't want to like this. I don't want to be a carnivore. I want to be a herbivore. Well, that's not going to happen, because unfortunately you're a lion. You know, I know it sounds silly, but it's the same idea. You know, you don't want to be sad about things. You don't want to be, I don't want to be fearful. I don't want to, like, judge myself. I don't want to, you know, I want to be happy all the time. If you think that's the goal, then you will continuously be disappointed, because it's never going to happen. What is going to happen is you become okay with feeling like that, or you become more okay with feeling like that. It doesn't affect you as much. It doesn't run your life. You know, when you feel anxious, it doesn't crush you. When you want to do something, and if you feel fearful, you do it anyway, knowing that fear is actually a pointer saying you should do it, because it's something new, and out of some things, new things become new opportunities. You know, what your brain's actually telling you then is like, that big safety thing is, I know if you don't do it, then there's no chance you'll be disappointed. I mean, there's also no chance of you doing what you want to do, but we won't worry about that. All we care about is not being disappointed. So we'll just bang on the head with anxiety. And yeah, you know, that's it. You still feel that. You just need to, or you just find a way of feeling through it a little bit better. you become a little bit more calm with them, right? And I think that comes through kind of knowledge, and that comes through sharing things, and I think that comes through looking at things from different perspectives, and I suppose that's what I'm trying to do. As I learn things, I feed them back. I think that's every human's kind of role, is to leave whoever they're connecting with in life, a place they're visiting, person they're speaking to, in a better way than they met them. And I think that's a pretty good kind of ethos for life. Anyway, I've gone on for a bit. It's a bit of a long one, but that's the reason. That's the reason I'm doing this, and I will continue to do it, and I will continue to share things, and I will continue to move through my fear of no one giving a hoot, and do them anyway. Hope you have a good weekend. Sun is out. Peace, people.